Divinity Original Sin is a really fun game where you create your own characters and go on an epic adventure with turn-based combat that makes every fight feel like a puzzle you need to solve, and the freedom to explore the world and make your own choices with a story that keeps you hooked with interesting characters and unexpected twists. The game can be quite challenging though, and sometimes you might get stuck or frustrated because it throws a lot of information at you at once, and it can be a bit overwhelming, but if you're patient and like to experiment, you'll find a lot to love in this game. With its beautiful world and engaging story, Divinity Original Sin is a must-play for fans of role-playing games. And if you're looking for a deep and rewarding experience that you can really sink your teeth into, then this is the game for you.
Watch out! On it!
Dragon Ball Sparking Zero is an action-packed fighting game that lets you relive all the epic battles from the Dragon Ball universe. And what I really like is how true it stays to the anime with all the flashy moves, destructible environments, and insane power-ups that make every fight feel just as intense as in the show. But even though the combat is fun and fast-paced, sometimes the controls feel a bit clunky, especially when you're trying to pull off complex combos. And while the character roster is massive, it feels like some characters don't have enough unique moves to stand out. But overall, if you're a Dragon Ball fan, you're definitely going to enjoy this game. Disco Elysium: The Final Cut is a one-of-a-kind detective RPG where you play as a cop with amnesia trying to solve a murder in a really weird and interesting city. And the cool thing is, you get to create your own type of detective with different skills and personality, so you can be a super smart detective or a total goofball. What really makes this game special is the amazing writing. It's super funny and makes you think about all sorts of things, and the world is full of interesting characters and hidden secrets that you'll want to uncover. Plus, the voice acting in the Final Cut version really brings the characters to life. Now, just a heads up, there's a lot of reading in this game, and it can be a bit slow at times. So if you're not into that kind of thing, it might not be for you, but if you're looking for a truly unique and unforgettable RPG experience, Disco Elysium: The Final Cut is definitely worth checking out.
Let's get this over with.
Unicorn Overlord is a tactical RPG set in a beautiful fantasy world where you lead armies and make story choices that shape the world around you.
Be safe.
I loved the art style and the strategic combat that lets you experiment with different unit types. The story is engaging, and the characters are pretty memorable, which kept me invested in what would happen next. I did feel like the pacing was slow at times, but the rich story and strategic gameplay made up for it. It's definitely worth playing if you enjoy tactical games with deep storytelling. I recently tried Empire of the Ants, which is a strategy game about managing an ant colony, gathering resources, expanding tunnels, and defending against threats. I loved the attention to detail, from the way the ants move to the realistic environments that make you feel like you're actually in their tiny world. The strategy elements are pretty deep, letting you plan out your colony's growth and defense, but I did find the controls a bit tricky at times, which could be a little frustrating. Even so, it's such a unique and immersive experience. If you're looking for a different kind of strategy game, this one's definitely worth a shot. Sakuna of Rice and Ruin is a unique blend of action platforming and rice farming simulation that will surprise you with its depth and charm. You play as Sakuna, a spoiled harvest goddess banished to a dangerous island with a group of human outcasts. To survive and return home, you'll need to master the art of combat using your divine raiment to grapple and attack enemies, while also learning to cultivate rice. The game features a surprisingly deep and satisfying farming system where you'll plant, harvest, and refine your rice crops to improve your stats and abilities. The combat is fast-paced and acrobatic, with a variety of weapons and skills to master as you explore the beautiful hand-drawn environments and uncover the secrets of the island. This is a truly special game that offers a unique and rewarding experience. Stellar Blade is an action RPG set in a futuristic world, and it's all about fast-paced combat and exploring beautifully designed environments. The visuals are absolutely stunning, and the combat feels smooth and satisfying. especially with all the cool moves and combos you can pull off. I really enjoyed the boss fights, which were challenging but not unfair, and they kept me on my toes. However, the story felt a bit shallow and I didn't connect much with the characters, which was a little disappointing. Still, if you love action games with great visuals and fluid combat, it's definitely worth checking out. It's one of those games that's just fun to play, even if the story isn't the strongest. Hi-Fi Rush is a rhythm-based action game where you fight enemies to the beat of the music, mixing fast-paced combat with a colorful, cartoon-style world. I really loved how the gameplay feels so smooth when you sync your attacks with the beat, and the music makes every fight more exciting. The art style is vibrant and fun, and the characters are pretty charming too. However, sometimes the timing felt a bit off, which could get frustrating during tougher battles. But overall, the mix of music and action is just so fun and unique. If you enjoy rhythm games or just want something different, it's definitely worth checking out.
And getting the smackdown.
Time to wake up, Nightingale.
Withering Rooms is a horror adventure game where you explore a creepy mansion filled with terrifying creatures and tricky puzzles. And what I found really interesting was how the game keeps changing its environment, making each area feel new and unsettling. And the sound design is really good at building tension. But the controls can be frustrating at times, especially when you're trying to get away from enemies. And the story is a bit hard to follow. But even with its flaws, the game does a great job at creating a spooky atmosphere. So if you love horror games, you might want to check this one out. Pentiment throws you into 16th century Bavaria as Andreas Mahler, an artist who finds himself caught up in a murder mystery. You'll explore a beautifully illustrated world, talk to interesting characters, and try to uncover the truth behind a series of suspicious deaths. The game's unique art style, inspired by medieval manuscripts and woodcuts, adds to the immersive experience, and the story is full of twists and turns. Pentiment lets you shape your own story through your choices and interactions. You decide who to trust, what questions to ask, and ultimately who you think is responsible. But be warned, your decisions have real consequences that can affect the lives of everyone in the village. Although Pentiment is a slow-paced game focused on dialogue and investigation, it's still a really engaging experience. If you enjoy historical mysteries or narrative-driven games and are looking for something different, Pentiment is worth checking out. Rogue Legacy 2 takes everything you loved about the original and makes it even better with a huge, vibrant world to explore and tons of new features. You'll play as a descendant of a noble family, exploring a procedurally generated castle filled with unique biomes like the enchanted Kerguelen Plateau and the challenging Axis Mundi. Each heir has their own unique traits and abilities, making every run feel fresh and exciting. The combat is fast and fluid, with a wide variety of weapons and spells to master. You'll need to be on your toes to survive the challenging platforming sections and intense boss battles. And with the new relics system, you can gain powerful abilities that can change the way you play. Rogue Legacy 2 is a must-play for fans of roguelites and platformers alike, offering a rewarding and addictive experience that will keep you coming back for more. Celeste is a challenging but rewarding platformer where you play as Madeline, a girl who climbs a mountain, and this game is known for its tough difficulty, but it's also super fair, and the controls feel really tight and responsive, so you always feel like it's your fault when you mess up. Which, believe me, you will a lot, and the levels are designed with tons of hidden secrets and shortcuts that make you want to replay them over and over again to find everything. Plus, the story in Celeste is surprisingly deep and emotional, dealing with things like anxiety and self-doubt in a way that feels really genuine and relatable. And the music is absolutely amazing. It's like this beautiful mix of piano and electronic stuff that perfectly fits the mood of the game, but I gotta say some of those later levels are brutally hard, like seriously controller throwing frustrating. And while the story is great, it's told through these optional cutscenes that you can easily miss if you're not looking for them. So overall, Celeste is an awesome game with tight controls, a beautiful art style, and an amazing soundtrack that's definitely worth checking out even if you're not usually into hard platformers. Hollow Knight is a beautiful Metroidvania with a haunting atmosphere. Explore the vast underground kingdom of Hallownest as a silent knight uncovering its secrets and battling deadly foes with your trusty nail. The hand-drawn art style and haunting soundtrack create a truly unique and immersive experience. Combat is tight and responsive, demanding skill to master. Gain new abilities and spells to reach new areas and overcome challenging bosses. Discovering hidden paths and upgrades is incredibly rewarding, but be warned, this game is tough and the map can be confusing. Still, Hollow Knight is a must-play for fans of the genre and anyone seeking a unique and unforgettable gaming experience. Banisher's Ghost of New Eden is an action-adventure game that follows two ghost hunters who fight spirits while dealing with a tragic love story, and it creates a really emotional and immersive experience. The narrative is deep and gripping, with tough choices that actually impact the story, making you feel invested in the characters. The combat is fast-paced and fun, but it can get a bit repetitive after a while. The atmosphere and visuals are stunning, really bringing the eerie world to life. If you like story-driven games with emotional twists, it's definitely worth checking out. Little Nightmares 2 is a creepy puzzle platformer where you play as Mono exploring a distorted world filled with disturbing creatures. Solve puzzles and sneak past enemies to survive this nightmare world with its tense atmosphere and amazing sound design. You'll encounter terrifying monsters like the creepy teacher and the horrifying hunter. Team up with 6 from the first game to overcome obstacles and solve puzzles together. Though challenging at times, Little Nightmares 2 is a thrilling and unforgettable experience. A must-play for fans of horror games and anyone who enjoys a good scare. Cuphead, the delicious last course, is a real treat for fans of the original game because it takes everything that was awesome about it and turns it up to 11. Like, the animation is even more incredible with that classic cartoon style, and the music is just as catchy and fun to listen to. Plus, it adds a bunch of new levels and bosses that are some of the most creative and challenging ones yet. So get ready for some serious controller-throwing moments. But the best part is, you get to play as Miss Chalice, this brand new character with her own cool moves and abilities that make the game feel fresh and exciting, like a double jump and a dash move that lets you avoid attacks. But be warned, some of these bosses are seriously tough and might make you want to pull your hair out, but if you love the original Cuphead, you absolutely have to check out the delicious last course. Neon White is a fast-paced action game where you play as an assassin trying to earn your place in heaven by competing with other demon slayers to kill demons, and you get to use cool weapons called soul cards to do it. The game has a really unique art style that mixes anime and cel shading, and it looks awesome. Plus, the levels are designed to be replayed over and over again, so you can try to get the best time. The story is pretty interesting and keeps you engaged, and the characters are all memorable with their own unique personalities, but the dialogue can be a bit cheesy at times. Overall, Neon White is a super fun and addictive game that's easy to pick up but hard to master because it requires quick reflexes and strategic thinking to succeed. So if you're looking for a challenge, this is definitely the game for you. So I tried Nine Sols recently and was really impressed by how well it combines fast-paced action and platforming with a story inspired by Asian mythology. I absolutely loved the hand-drawn art style that gives the game a really unique look. The combat is so much fun with the mix of swordplay and deflection mechanics that make every fight feel intense, but I did find some of the platforming parts to be a bit tricky because they require really precise jumps. The story is good, but it does feel like it drags in some places, but even with these small issues, I think it's a really solid game that's worth checking out if you like action platformers. Like a Dragon, Infinite Wealth is a turn-based RPG that tells an emotional story filled with humor, and it does an amazing job of balancing serious moments with laugh-out-loud comedy. The story is really engaging, and the characters are so charming and relatable that you get invested in their journey. The combat system is strategic and fun, although the pacing can slow down a bit in longer battles. But there's so much to do with all the side quests and minigames that the world feels really alive and exciting to explore. It's definitely a must-play if you're into story-rich RPGs. Dead Island 2 is a hilarious, gore-filled sequel that doesn't take itself seriously, and that's part of its charm. Set in a stunningly detailed and absurd version of LA, the game boasts ridiculously good graphics that make its blood-soaked melee combat and apocalyptic setting pop. You'll hack, slash, and drop-kick your way through zombie hordes as one of 6 playable characters. The story feels like a cheesy B-movie with sarcastic writing, colorful characters, and over-the-top quests, like slaying zombies for a clout-chasing influencer or fighting bee-infested undead. While combat starts strong with modded melee weapons and superhuman abilities, its repetitive nature and lackluster guns fall short. Multiplayer adds much-needed fun, though technical bugs and an unpolished feel detract from the experience. Dead Island 2 may not reinvent the zombie genre, but its humor, irreverent tone, gorgeous visuals, and co-op chaos make it worth a bloody good time.